Hi, IPEM friends.
My first observation is that over half of the UK GPs mention rising inflation as their primary concern. Inflation in the UK is currently at a level we've not seen for many years as a result of supply chain disruption, geopolitical tensions, energy price rises, and the reorganisation of the economy as we bounce back from the COVID pandemic. The great unknown is whether this is a short-term issue or whether expectations will become embedded throughout the economy. From a financing perspective, GPs will also be concerned about the prospect of increases in interest rates. The Bank of England's remit is to manage the UK economy such that inflation, as measured by the Consumer Prices Index, is at 2%. Annual UK inflation at the end of January 2022 was over 5%. If this persists, then it is highly likely we will see interest rates going up, with a knock-on cash cost to any businesses which are funded using floating rate debt. That being said, these are macroeconomic challenges which will be faced by all businesses, not simply private equity-backed ones, and private equity-backed firms are very good at innovating and managing costs appropriately. In the UK in particular, over 50% of GPs are looking to recruit within their ESG or sustainability teams. This is something our members care about deeply, and it impacts both planet and profit. In the current market, it is impossible not to care about climate, diversity, and governance, as helping businesses improve in these areas is the way to better, more successful, and ultimately more valuable businesses.
And I would agree with that. To pick up on what the BVCA is doing as a trade association, we've been promoting ESG even since before it was called ESG. I've been with the BVCA for quite a long time now, for 12 years. And our Responsible Investment Advisory Group, as it was named and still is named, was formed even before I joined. And that goes back to the noughties. And it was originally led by GPs, but now has a good balance of both LPs, GPs, and advisors. One comment I've heard frequently in discussions with members is the reluctance to sign up to particular initiatives with specific targets and dates for net zero, but without a clear plan for how to do so. Private equity firms like to have a proper plan and to know how their businesses will achieve the targets they set. Our members are therefore more comfortable with some initiatives than others, and we encourage participation in initiatives like the UN PRI-backed initiative Climat International, which began in France and has become international. Over 100 UK and European-based private equity and venture capital firms, representing more than $700 billion AUM, have joined ICI.
One area it's had a lot of attention over the past year or so is ESG reporting and measurement. The BVCA is working alongside Invest Europe and many other trade associations across Europe to develop a simple list of KPIs which can be collected to demonstrate what the industry is doing in this space. There is a genuine recognition that diversity of thought and people is key to driving value, and that the opposite is actually a drag on value creation. However, there's also a recognition that there is a long way to go, both within the private equity and venture capital industry itself and within the businesses that they back. As you mentioned, initiatives do help.
And we're also closely involved in the Rose Review Board, which is a government initiative led by Alison Rose, CEO of NatWest. In February last year, the Rose Review Council published guidance and best practice with focus on examples for VCs and institutional investors. And this was a document created by leading investors and professionals within the venture community as a resource to help drive greater diversity right across the investment industry. So to your point, initiatives are key to driving the agenda forward. There is a huge amount that is positive, as we've discussed, and there is so much conviction in the industry about our societal contribution. When we meet with our members, we see an industry engaged and energized by that contribution, which is very different to the public perception. And so we need to be better collectively at telling the story. Over the past decade or so, since the financial crisis began in 07-08, there's been somewhat of a reluctance for private equity and venture capital firms to use their voices and to talk about what they are doing and the positive impact they are having, to be on the front foot in terms of engagement with our industry's external stakeholders, including the media. And where there is a vacuum, as we know, or a void, other voices will fill that space, other stories and narratives will fill that space. And that's exactly what has happened for private equity and venture capital in the past decade and beyond, with certain media outlets picking one or two unrepresentative examples to make a wider point. As the UK Trade Association for the industry, a core part of our mission is to develop what we call our license to operate. So the tax, legal and regulatory environment in which the industry operates. And this is closely linked to our reputation. And it means we need to demonstrate the value of our members and their activities to the economy and to wider society. And in the past year, we have greatly expanded our external affairs team, of which Suzi is part, to be able to be much more proactive.
Indeed, yes, research is a core part of the external affairs team. And when we are thinking about it, articulating the story of the industry, there are two key components to this. The first is data. My team runs a number of surveys across our members to gather the data we need to demonstrate what our members are doing across investment activity and performance, in addition to the previously mentioned studies on diversity and inclusion and ESG. Having data to tell a story is essential. The second component, however, is case studies. We find that people can often connect better with specific examples of businesses or social impacts than with data alone. This is why we have published several reports over the past year featuring case studies.
However, trade association publications alone will only ever be part of the story. We need members and indeed businesses backed by private equity and venture capital firms to be continually talking about the value which private equity and venture capital backing can bring. The story from our perspective is strong. Private equity and venture capital are invested in growth, in innovation and people. And if I take people as an example, that ranges from talent through to jobs and skills to pension fund holders too. First of all, it's important for us to continue our alignment with other associations across Europe as our members operate right across the continent. This is one industry, it's one geography, and we should therefore have one aligned advocacy. Our firm belief is that our priorities align with government priorities, and I would expect this to be the same, very similar right across Europe. So post-COVID recovery, we're an industry that will bring innovation and growth, the UK needs, that the continent needs, climate and cohesion. We think of this as cohesion of the UK. We think of it in terms of investment right across the UK. In the UK, it has another phrase, which is called levelling up. Our belief is that our industry is really, really well placed for this levelling up process, for this cohesion process. Just by way of example, our members, 66% of their investment is outside of London. So it's right across the UK. And that tells a very strong story. And I think that this story is relevant right across Europe. The world is changing and it's changing rapidly, and so must we. As an organization, we're constantly looking to evolve and change. And actually, on the 1st of March, you'll see a complete brand refresh, different look and feel for the BVCA. So please do look out for it. You'll see many of the themes that we've discussed today right at the fore of our look and feel and our messaging, reflecting our role and our industry's position and contribution to today's changing world.
See you in Cannes in September.